Right after that tense win over Cleveland, Roquan Smith opened up in a way nobody saw coming. And when he talks like that, you know something big is coming. Out of nowhere, he dropped a level of honesty about Zach, or that completely changes how we look at this defense. It wasn't empty praise. It wasn't a rehearsed quote. It was a kind of raw truth that only comes out when a locker room is under real pressure. And the wild part is that what Roquan said explains so much about what's happening with this defense right now. There are details in his words that reveal exactly why this group flipped the switch in a way almost nobody imagined a few weeks ago. If you think you've already seen everything from this team, just wait until you hear what he confessed. Because what he said hit straight at the heart of this season's future. When Roquan Smith talks about Zach, or you can tell right away this isn't just the usual compliment. He describes, or as the guy who kept the whole group standing when the season felt like it was slipping away. Even with the team sitting at 1-5, Roquan makes it clear the defensive coordinator was a steady point in the middle of all the chaos. The way he talks about that trust is so natural, almost effortless. Roquan says he always respected or never doubted his work, and that helps explain why the defense didn't mentally collapse when everything was going wrong. It's that quiet confidence that shifts the mood in the locker room without needing any big speeches. Another thing that stands out is how Roquan insists the group always knew who they really were. He talks like someone who lived through every rough moment, but also every adjustment or made to protect the unit's identity. It feels like he's describing a type of leadership that doesn't have to be loud to be effective, the kind that shows up exactly when a team needs it most. And that steady tone from Roquan, the one where he says the mission is far from over, shows how much this relationship between player and coordinator shapes the way the defense is playing right now. It's obvious this internal trust didn't appear out of thin air. It came from choices, attitude, and someone who kept everyone aligned even when the results said the opposite. What really jumps out in Roquan's comments is how he describes Zach or his posture during the worst moments of the season. He talks like someone who watched the coordinator hold the room together, even when the team was buried at 1-5 and everything felt heavy. According to him, or never changed his tone, never lost his cool, and never let anyone doubt what this defense could become. Roquan explains it with the kind of calm you only hear when someone truly trusts the person they're talking about. He makes it clear that while people outside the building were questioning his work, inside the locker room nobody wavered. That stability is exactly the kind of thing that keeps a group from falling apart when everything around them turns into a storm. And what's even more interesting is how Roquan talks, as if it was obvious the defense would bounce back. Because, or never let the standards slip. He protected the identity, stuck to the plan, and projected confidence even when the results were ugly. That's the kind of leadership that doesn't need yelling or drastic changes. Just consistency in what you believe. That consistency ends up explaining why the defense took off so quickly once things started to click. Nobody inside had lost their reference point. And that reference became even clearer when their on-field performance started matching exactly what Roquan kept saying. That or had everything under control from the start. The way Roquan talks about the last game makes the impact of, or on this winning streak, impossible to ignore. He says the coordinator basically called a perfect game, adjusting to everything Cleveland's offense tried. That kind of praise doesn't pop up by accident, especially coming from someone who lives every snap inside the system. Roquan describes the performance in a way that shows how much the defense trusted the plan from the very first snap. He says everything felt connected, like every player knew exactly what they had to do. And that doesn't just happen. It happens when the person designing the plan understands the opponent's weaknesses and the strengths of his own group. What's fascinating is how Roquan highlights that clarity. He talks like the execution was easy, but you can tell it only felt that way because, or prepared the group for every situation. When a player can express that kind of comfort, it's because the coordinator turned theory into something simple and efficient, and that completely shifts the rhythm of a defense. That blend of preparation, reading the opponent, and sharp execution explains why the group played with so much confidence. It's clear the performance wasn't just talent. It was someone guiding the unit with precision, creating an environment where everyone understood their role and why it mattered.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important, because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Roquan says that after the 1-5 start, the mentality inside the building basically turned into a rule. Every game would be treated like a final. And the way he talks about it, you can feel that this wasn't just a slogan. It was something that came from inside, something led by or and absorbed by the whole defense. His tone makes it sound like this mindset became part of their daily routine. That approach helped the group ignore the standings, tune out outside pressure, and focus on the next snap only. Roquan describes it as something that kept everyone aligned, avoiding that desperation that usually hits a team when the season begins so badly. It's like Orr grabbed hold of the emotional reins and wouldn't let the team spiral. Roquan also highlights how seriously the defense took this mission to rebuild. There wasn't room for complaining or doubting, just work. And that attitude was crucial for the defense to regain its identity, find consistency, and turn messy matchups into controlled performances, even when facing limited offenses. That firm mindset ends up explaining why the group responded so cleanly over the past few weeks. Orr's posture didn't just keep the defense alive, it gave it direction. And when a team finds direction in the middle of chaos, everything starts to fall into place in a very different way. All of Roquan's comments paint a crystal clear picture. Zach Orr is more than a coordinator calling plays. He's someone who gave his defense purpose at a moment when the team looked lost. Roquan describes it with a level of comfort that shows the deep respect inside that locker room. He says the group always knew who they were, even when the scoreboard said otherwise. That doesn't happen without someone holding that vision with conviction. And that's exactly where it comes in. That confidence flows from coordinator to players, and from players to the field, creating a chain effect that changes everything. Roquan also makes it very clear that nothing is finished, that the mission is still going. And that detail reveals a lot about this defense's mindset. Nobody is relaxed. Nobody is satisfied. Everyone understands there's still a lot of work ahead. That kind of mentality usually comes from the top, and it's obvious or has grounded the unit in that attitude. And as Roquan keeps talking like this, it becomes impossible to ignore how much the coordinator has shaped the rhythm, confidence, and posture of this defense. You can see the reflection of it in every recent game. This isn't just a rebound. It's a defense that found solid direction and looks ready to keep pushing. In the end, everything Roquan Smith said about Zach Orr helps explain exactly why this defense climbed so fast. It took trust, leadership, and someone keeping the unit steady when the season looked broken. And when one of the team's leaders is this direct, this transparent, and this firm about the impact of a coordinator, it shows there's something much bigger behind the recent wins, the energy on the field, and this surge the team is riding. Now I want to hear from you. After hearing all this, does it feel like Orr is really the driving force behind this turnaround? Or do you think there's still something left for him to prove? Whatever your take is, one thing is already clear. If this defense keeps playing with this level of confidence, energy, and identity, the ending to the season could look a lot different than what anyone expected at 1-5. And if someone is steering this turnaround with a steady hand, that someone is Zach Orr.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.